It was close.
Kyle beat Craig Wesco in the semis.
All right, well, it looks like we're ready for a match. We're going to go down and bring you guys action of Brad Nelson against Eric Froelich. Hello and welcome back to Grand Prix Cincinnati. This is Jacob Van Loon and I'm being joined by Randy Bueller. We're here watching round 13 action. This is Brad Nelson, the 2010 Player of the Year, playing against Platinum Pro Eric Froelich at 11-1 with only 3 rounds remaining in this tournament. In the Swiss, anyway.
Yeah, the winner is in great shape for top 8. The winner will still have a loss to give with 2 rounds to go, and maybe be able to draw in the last round, although that part's probably unlikely. The loser has to put up 2 wins.
Yes,
so
the loser gets their back against the wall.
Nobody's going to be eliminated, but one person's going to be one person's going to be back against the wall.
All right, so Underworld Connections there, the first play of the game from Eric Froelich.
Yeah, he's happy to resolve that. On the play, no risk of counter magic, just gets to resolve it, but cannot fade the detention sphere.
All right, another Underworld Connections.
Wow.
And that's really good. He can draw the card off at the turn that he played it. Right, you're going to fall to 18 here to play that Hallowed Fountain untapped. What does he have it for? It's Jace, Architect of Thought.
He's probably immediately going to draw some cards. Got to try to keep up with that Underworld Connections. Would
Looks
love
like that's the
to
plan.
Detention Sphere it away as well. May be able to race it with Sphinx's Revelation.
All right, so now Eric going to start going at his own life total here a bit to use that Underworld Connections, and he doesn't mind that at all.
No.
Playing against this Esper control deck, Underworld Connections is exactly the kind of card he wants to be resolving.
Yeah, Eric just, his game plan now is to get far enough ahead over the course of the next couple of turns that, he can Thoughtseize away Sphinx's Revelation. That's exactly what I was going to say. Sees 2 of them, I'm sure he'll take 1.
Yeah, the wise decision of Brad there. He had a choice between taking 2 cards, land and a Supreme Verdict, or taking that extra Sphinx Revelation. And in order to play around the possibility of a Thoughtseize off the top of Efro's deck, he decided to just take the extra Revelation because of how powerful it is in the matchup. He's going to need to stay ahead of that Underworld Connection somehow, and Sphinx Revelation is really the only way to do it.
Yeah, second Thoughtseize from Eric would be quite devastating if he can find that in the next couple of turns.
So here, I imagine we're going to see Brad +1 that Jace in most scenarios here.
Think he wants to keep it around rather than dig for more cards right now?
I think so. I mean, he can always dig for more cards next turn. Oh, okay. He's going to go for it right away. Yeah.
Sphinx's Revelation number 3, which I think he has to take. He had plenty of land in his hand. I think
Yeah,
he'd
he
take
had
a
2
Rev
more
here.
lands. Yeah, I would take the Rev also. All right. So 2 Revelations in hand now for Brad.
Untapped, paid 2 life for that.
Yeah, so it's looking like he might be going for a Revelation for 2 here. Eric's end step.
I don't know if I would do that. Might wait. He's got at least 1 more land in his hand. I mean, he doesn't want to let the connections get out of control, but it's like trading 1 card for 1 card.
That's fair.
Although, I mean, he may know that Eric's going to start forcing him to deal with things. So if he's going to have to spend a turn dealing with the Desecration Demon, then, you know, maybe here was the window where he could afford to spend all his mana on a Rev for 2. Ooh, Thoughtseize. Eric has drawn a lot of lands. Lifebane Zombie and what's the second card?
Bile Blight.
Oh, jeez.
Not a very good one here.
Uh-uh.
So Eric is basically on this demon and nothing else, despite having drawn all those extra cards off of his Underworld Connections. And he is drawing 2 cards a turn, so it's not, Brad is not out of the woods yet, but I'm sure he was very happy to see those 4 lands in Eric's hand there.
Yes, 3 lands. 3 lands and a Bow Blight. It's even worse than 4 lands.
Yeah. So Eric draws another copy of Underworld Connections and the land. That extra Underworld Connections, though, quite good here.
Yeah.
However, it does set him up to get Detention Sphered to lose both of them if he did cast it. So he's just going to sit on 1, I think. If he goes for the other one, it would be...
really?
It's a little bold, maybe.
He's seen Brad's hand. There was not a Detention Sphere. I would
That's
play
fair.
it. Here's his window. Like, we know Brad has an additional Sphinx's Revelation in his hand. Eric's window isn't super long. He needs to apply pressure in the next couple of turns. I mean, cast threats, force Brad to deal with them, win before that second rev for a bunch happens. Interesting. Yeah, verdict, land.
Yeah, I think he's just going to take the lands.
Makes sense. Still the right split, though.
Oh,
He
definitely.
would definitely have taken land verdict.
Land Verdict would be quite good. The all lands, all spells piles are almost always correct in these middle stages of the game. So I got to have a nice conversation with Kai about splitting Jace Architect of Thoughts in Ireland earlier this year.
Thoughtseize for Eric. That's a good one.
It's a very good one.
Yeah, fires that off right away. Seize, Rev. Is that a Jace? A Last Breath?
2 Jaces and a Doomblade.
Okay. It's an easy decision.
Doomblade, right? No, I'm joking.
No.
Yes, an easy decision to take the Sphinx Revelation on that spot. Your opponent has 7 lands in play. It represents 4 cards and 4 life. The 4 life not particularly relevant at the moment, but
4 cards very relevant.
4 cards are very, very relevant.
Did you just draw Rakdos' return?
He did, and that is a very, very good one to draw.
How many cards in Brad's hand right now? 4?
It looks like it.
He could nail 3 of them, or he could wait a turn and get them all.
I think Brad has 5 in hand currently, so he's going to wait a turn.
He also kills Jace, though, if he does it now, right? Redirects the damage to Jace. Like, played a land tapped, so he can only return for 2.
Yeah, now, if you're wondering why he didn't pressure that Jace by attacking with the Mutavault, he knows that Brad has the Doomblade in hand, and the Doomblade is just the Doomblade's a dead card if it's not for Mutavault. So you don't really want to activate that Mutavault until you have multiples.
It's a pretty good Jace split there.
It's very nice.
Wow, that Detention Sphere is a beating.
It is.
This is exactly the scenario you were worried about on Eric's behalf, getting both his Underworld connections nabbed by a single Detention Sphere. Yeah, Eric's split seems completely correct for that reason.
Yeah, but what's interesting here is that, by not taking a counterspell here, Brad would, ooh, nice by Brad. Brad could just lose to that Rakdos return.
He would have, yeah. Would have at least been empty-handed because of it. Can he afford to let Eric draw, 8 more cards?
And I think he can because, Eric's deck has a lot of dead cards against him post-board. He knows that Eric had all of those lands in hand. Yeah, pre-board. And he has the Mutavault to apply a little bit of pressure. Eric's spending a lot of life on those Underworld connections. I understand that the life is not as consequential as the cards would be, but taking those counterspells puts Brad in a pretty good spot to just squeeze this game out.
Thoughtseize is so good.
Thoughtseize is very good. A lot of people complain about Thoughtseize being in Standard, but, what does Black have besides cards like Thoughtseize? That's what it's about.
Brad has to decide whether to spend a counter on this. It's a giant. Okay, he's going to rev as a response. Wow, he drew the last rev. Did we know about that one? We did not know about that one.
We did not know about that one.
He just randomly drew number 4 off the top.
Yep.
I'm sure Eric is inwardly seething and calculating the odds of the bad beat he's just been inflicted upon him.
I'm sure of it.
All right. Lands, Elspeth, Syncopate. I can't really tell the spells. There's a Jason there.
Yeah, so he can take his pick of the litter here. And then if he wants to, he can also Rakdos return away another 5 cards this turn.
Right.
Which
the fact
would
that Brad tapped
leave
out.
Brad with 6 cards in hand.
What? You're kidding.
Oh, 5 in hand. 5
There's
in hand.
11
I'm sorry.
cards in Brad's hand.
Yeah.
Jeez. That was an unfortunate turn for Brad. I mean, for Eric.
Yes.
Eric
very
passed.
much
He's
so.
like, I could Rakdos return for 3, or I could wait a turn and get his entire hand. Brad proceeded to Jace for 2 counters, draw phase top deck the Sphinx's Revelation, Jace for 2 counters, and then the Rev fills his hand above what this Rakdos' return can actually do to him. So Eric took Dissolve. He's still got a Syncopate to play around, though.
Yeah, but I think what's really nice about taking the Dissolve there is that you encourage Brad to just go for something like Elspeth, Sun's Champion, on the following turn, and then you get a really, really nice Rakdos return.
Right. Yeah, I think Eric drew a Demon, too. I think maybe he puts Demon in play, forces Brad to deal with the Demon, discard down to 7, and then Eric can untap and hopefully get off that giant Rakdos' return.
It definitely seems like a nice line for him.
Go deal with this Demon, Brad.
All right, so Desecration Demon does require an answer. Very big body.
Yeah, Brad goes for Elspeth here. That makes that Rakdos' return awesome. Means Rakdos' return would kill the Elspeth.
Yeah, Rakdos' return not only killing that Elspeth, but also emptying out a pretty nice portion of Brad's hand. Especially, I mean, he played a land last turn. He won't have that land tapped by that Thoughtseize from earlier.
Right.
So that Rakdos' return is going to be really, really big, and he
Syncopate
knows
is the tricky bit, right? Depending on how much untapped mana Brad has, Eric knows that Brad's only counter right now is a Syncopate. So he's going to have to leave up enough mana to pay for it.
And it's looking like Brad will really only, if Brad does go for Elspeth, Brad's really only going to have,
Sync for 1 or 2.
Yeah, sync for 1 or 2. And once he discards down to 7.
Yeah, that looks like Elspeth mana.
It does look like Elspeth's coming down.
I mean, from Brad's seat, Elspeth seems like the right play here.
Definitely.
I mean, I don't think he knows Eric's exact deck list. Even if he did, there's, what, 1 main deck Rakdos' return?
Eric has drawn a lot of cards.
All right, Elspeth, and the minus ability of Elspeth kills the demon. This is exactly what Eric wanted Brad to do. Eric's inwardly looking at that mana saying, you did not top deck a Dissolve. There's no way you top deck a Dissolve. Wow.
Huh.
That's surprising to me.
That is surprising to me
He was
also.
trying to get it countered. Yeah, he tapped out for it. He was trying to bait the Syncopate there. And Brad was just like, okay, Elspeth is dead. Yeah, I think Eric expected that to get syncopated.
In which case, it would have been very, very nice.
Oh, yeah. No, that if Eric had successfully baited Syncopate there, this would all be even better for him. As it is, he kind of used the Hero's Downfall for not much effect. Like I said, so he can Rakdos' return.
For
he needs to
5.
leave up 2 mana, which means the Rakdos' return is for 5, and I don't think he's played a land yet. He could potentially play a land, cast it for 6, and still pay for Syncopate.
Yeah.
Goes for 5. 2 mana untapped. Right, if Brad played Dissolve here, I think Eric might come over the table. Now Brad's trying to figure out what to discard. He's at 7, so down go 5 cards, including the Syncopate.
All right, let's see.
Jace.
Nice little Jace
Was
comes
one
down.
of the keepers. More cards. Elspeth or no? Brad wants the D-Sphere.
Yep.
Eric
so
does play Grey Merchants, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Do we not get these deck lists?
No, we did not.
We didn't get deck lists.
All right, so Detention Sphere comes down. Going to try to target these connections. Eric going to draw a few cards in the process. Now, he's well ahead on cards. He has more lands in play. You know, he has Mutavault advantage. He has 3 connections in play. I'm not sure if he's playing 3 or 4. Likely 4. I mean, I strongly disagree when I see the lists that have less than 4 copies of that card.
Mutavault chips over. Eric's down to 2.
Yeah, I mean, with Eric down at 2, maybe it's not even that. I guess with the Gray Merchant, it's pretty relevant.
Right. Mutavault pressures the Jace, which means Mutavault is not playing defense, which means Eric is representing a removal spell of some kind. Brad would love a way to defend his Mutavault, so he takes the Dissolve. He's going to activate a potentially lethal Mutavault and attack with it and say, you got 2 removal spells, Eric? No, declines to attack.
Yeah, I think at this point he assumes that he does have 2 removal spells, right? He's drawn a lot of cards since the last time you've seen his hand.
Yeah. Still, how is life going to get better for Brad?
I think so. I think you can just... Here we are.
Eric is a 4 Gray Merchant deck.
Yeah, so... Yeah, so he gets a Azorius Charm. That means he's going to get to activate this Planeswalker again.
So Brad has 1 card in its hand, and we know it to be a Dissolve. Eric pointing Hero's Downfall at Jace. No fear of that Mutavault. Brad going to defend Jace.
And he gets to scry.
After the scry, Eric points another Hero's Downfall at the Chase. Does Brad just raise? Right, activate Mutavault, send it in? There is a Mutavault buried in there, right? I'm not imagining this.
There is a Mutavault there.
I mean, you may as well... Wow.
Yeah, that turn, I feel like it's...
You gotta...
hard to not go for it.
I mean, it's not like you lose if you're wrong. I mean, Eric is representing an answer because he's attacking almost recklessly. All right. Now, Brad's going to activate to block. He's willing to activate it to block, but not to attack last turn? Yeah. Eric did have the answer.
Still, it just seems odd.
Yeah, I mean, you have to make him show it to you, right? It's not like there's any Sphinx's Revelations left in Brad's deck for him to top deck. I believe he's gone through all 4 of them.
Yeah, 2 of them got Thoughtseize. 1 was cast for just 2.
Yeah, and then the one big
one. Other one was big, but...
Aetherling!
Yep. And Aetherling
Windmill slammed Aetherling.
Aetherling might be able to do the work that it needs to.
That dodges pretty much every removal spell Eric can point at it.
But Eric can point a removal spell at it every turn while it's trying to attack.
Yeah, he'll run out, though. He's not drawing any more cards.
Yeah, eventually he'll run out. It's true. And he can't really apply pressure either because the Aetherling can block pretty well at the same time.
Wow. Eric Froelich sat on 2 Underworld connections. He's on 2 life basically because... Oh, is that lethal? But there's the Dissolve.
Oh, and he had the Dissolve on the top of his deck. And that's it.
Wow. Brad Nelson wins.
Wow.
Eric had 3. Yeah, look at him shake his head. He believes he just suffered an ignominious bad beat. He's the kind of guy, though, who always believes he suffers an ignominious bad beat. You kind of have to translate. Like,
yeah,
did he actually get unlucky? I feel like he did actually get kind of unlucky that game. He never drew a Gray Merchant. He never drew, he drew a lot of land off those Underworld connections.
I mean,
he did on 2 life, basically.
He did get his connections Detention Sphere and then have 2 more.
But he paid all his life. Like, he ran out.
Yeah, you're right. He did pay all of his life in Underworld connections.
I think Brad hit him with 1 Mutavault once.
Yeah.
I think he drew 14, 15 cards.
Yeah.
I think he may have drawn 16 cards. 16 cards, 1 Mutavault hit, something like that?
Oh, well, no. He Thoughtseized
Oh, he
thrice.
Thoughtseized a couple times.
Thrice.
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
So
still,
that's
he's
6
up
life. Yeah, he's still up a lot of cards.
double-digit cards
yeah.
and was not able to turn that into a win. Yeah, he's kind of seething right now. Oh, wow. Kyle Bogomis has already won the back table match.
Wow.
That is bad news for Luis Scott Vargas fans. LSV picks up loss number 3. And it's Kyle who stays right in the thick of things, moving to 11-2. Brad gets up from the table. Yeah, I would need to use the restroom there if I was Brad.
Yeah.
I want Efro to just kind of stew in his own juices for an extra couple minutes here.
Yeah, that is something that we've seen that at Magic tournaments.
Oh,
Some
yeah.
higher level players, when they get lucky and win a game, there's just something about it that really makes you have to go to the bathroom. You know.
Now, to be fair, I do not think Eric is particularly vulnerable to tilting.
I don't think he's vulnerable to tilting.
He certainly
I think
has a lot of practice, sort of blocking that out, playing the next game as the next game.
I think there's actually two sides to that. I think that he is very prone to tilt in terms of the emotion of it. However,
Sure.
that affecting his actual play skill, I think is not really an issue. I mean,
he's seething for sure. I just don't think it's actually going to throw him off his game.
I don't either. He's a machine.
It is kind of a weird juxtaposition that he can so visibly emotionally seethe and yet still play extremely well.
Yeah. It's not something many people can do.
No, it's almost like he finds it amusing. Like, he sort of got this picture of his own place in the world as the luckiest man on it, or the unluckiest man on it.
Yeah, he truly believes that he is the unluckiest person.
Yeah, I think
on
deep
the
down
planet.
inside he absolutely believes that. To the point where it's amusing.
Yeah.
Look what happened to me this time. If only I could run average. Clearly overstates the slings and arrows.
Yeah, it's definitely overstated to some degree. He is very, very good, and
yes. Yeah, no, I was saying
But-
earlier, this is the first week since the rankings came out where Eric's not actually in the top 25. Just slipped out this last week. At some point
he
from
just
last
has
year,
ramped
started to
so
decay.
bad recently that
Yeah, I guess so.
he also hasn't had an opportunity to go to as many tournaments as he was toward the end of last season. I'm sure he'll pick it up if he's behind in points as the season comes to a close or
Sure.
something like that. And now this matchup post-board
what
gets a
happens?
lot harder for Brad.
Okay.
The thing is that there's a lot of spot removal in Eric's deck in
Okay.
game one.
Oh, yeah,
that
right,
is pretty dead.
You can draw a lot of blanks, which is basically what we saw Eric do that game. He drew removal spells and land. He needed to draw threats and creatures, any dorks to attack with.
Yeah, now he's going to get more discard here post-board. He's likely going to get
What does he go up to?
he has a copy of Slaughter Games, right?
Yeah, the
Here,
Slaughter
right
game
here.
seems spectacular.
Yeah, and
I'm not
being able to take all of the revelations out of your opponent's deck.
right.
Is
I'm
pretty
actually a
nice.
little bit surprised he only has one Slaughter Games. It seems so powerful in this matchup, and there's so much Esper in the room that I feel like you could justify as many as 4. But he does also have Duress. 3 Duresses came in from the board
Yeah,
to
third
supplement
copy.
those 4 Thoughtseizes.
Yeah, third copy of Return there also.
Yeah, 3rd Rakdos' return. I'm sure the Slaughter Games came in. Yeah, Eric's deck seems a lot better after sideboarding here.
All right, so here we are. Turn 1 of game 2. Eric Froelich going with an Urza Saga Duress. And taking a peek at Brad's hand, he has an option between Sphinx's Revelation, Detention Sphere, and it looks like that might be a Dark Betrayal.
Took the rev.
Brad just going to play a Temple, scry card to the bottom.
Makes me think maybe Eric does not have Underworld connections in his draw. The fact that he left that Detention Sphere.
Yeah. And he certainly does not have Slaughter Games if he's taking the Revelation.
Yeah.
Going to get aggressive with this Mutavault. No reason not to. I mean, there's not a card that costs 1 black or 1 blue mana that's going to negatively affect you by attacking with that. And if you're not using the mana anyway, might as well take your free 2 points. Something we see a lot of players just giving away some free life to their opponent. A Thoughtseize from Eric. Just going to get dissolved here. Mutavault continuing to attack. Mutavault, a pretty good threat against these control decks. Applies pressure to Planeswalkers very well. Uncounterable. And dodges a lot of the removal in the format because of the sorcery speed nature of things.
So there is Underworld Connections from Eric. Draws a card, does not play a land. And probably going to lose his connections to a Detention Sphere here. Oh, or a Revoke Existence, sure.
Oh, nice. A Revoke Existence. So
Yeah, comes in from the sideboard because it hits Erebos in addition to hitting the Underworld Connections.
makes sense. And
Fine sideboard card.
we assume that Eric's going to be siding in
One
Erebos.
Erebos main, one in the sideboard. Yeah.
It also conveniently hits the Whip of Erebos that is in
Might
Eric's
have
deck.
come in from the board. Oh, he's got one main? Yeah,
He has
got a
one main. That's definitely staying in here. I mean,
Yep.
Whip is very strong against these control decks.
How about this Underworld Connections?
And each of these Underworld Connections, even though Brad has a card to deal with both of them, they've both drawn a card before Brad has dealt with them.
Right.
So Eric's ending up ahead in this exchange here because
Right.
Brad's spending a card and taking away one card of Eric, but Eric's not spending a card and taking that card away from Brad.
Yeah, I mean, Eric's only up one card, but hey, that's better than being up infinite cards from Brad's perspective.
Yes.
Or I guess infinite is like 19. Yeah. Eric draws a card as a response to the Detention Sphere, but the Detention Sphere resolves.
Yes, now a discard spell from Eric would be really good here.
I think he's got a
Especially a big
Rakdos'
one.
Return in his hand. So he could cast for 3 or with an untapped land, potentially 4. The problem is, Brad's representing counter magic with those 3 untapped lands. Yeah, Eric just goes for it. I like that line.
I like that a lot. And, yep, that's Brad's whole hand.
Bye-bye your hand.
And now he has the Slaughter Games in hand, too.
Jeez.
So things are looking pretty good for Eric here.
It's funny, do you slaughter games to get the last 2 revs? Or is it time to start thinking about going for things like Elspeth?
So he's just going to continue applying a pressure with this
Sure.
vault. And Lifebane Zombie comes down. That Intimidate. Brad draws first turn, just passes, arms crossed. And a Grey Merchant of Asphodel.
Dark Betrayal is a response. Kills the Lifebane Zombie and makes the Grey Merchant hit for 2 less.
Yeah, pretty nice effect there. Dark
Mutavault
Betrayal,
came
only
down.
1 mana. And Mutavault can at least trade with an opposing Mutavault.
Yep. Brad down to 5 already.
Yeah, and that looks like a
That
lethal
Rakdos'
Rakdos
return is
return.
lethal. All right, on to game 3. God, Eric runs so good. Look how lucky he got that
Oh
game.
my goodness, that was unbelievably lucky. He ran so well.
That was a good draw from Eric. It's also kind of the way his deck is supposed to draw after sideboarding.
Oh yeah, I mean having
Not-
two
I mean, it wasn't,
discard
"Oh my God,
spells
lucky,"
into a pair of Underworld Connections with return to follow it up is very, very strong in this matchup.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't think most people would have drawn like that in that game. You'd have to be extremely lucky, you know, to. So here we are going into game 3 now.
Yeah, Brad
Brad
does
gets
get
to
to
be
play
on the play.
first. That definitely helps. A lot turns on things like Syncopate Underworld Connections that just weren't going to happen in the other game.
Yeah, the other thing about being on the play here, though, is it kind of makes things dangerous because mulliganing on the play against a post-boarded black deck
Yep.
is really scary.
Sure.
Because, I mean, they're going to have so much discard and Rakdos return. And
You wouldn't draw, though. You wouldn't choose draw.
Oh, definitely not. Yeah. I'm just saying there's another side of
I
the
mean, play
sword.
draw
But
is kind of balanced. I mean, 20 years ago when you could play and draw, it was ridiculous. But the play draw rule is kind of borderline fair.
it's close.
Right. There are formats where you choose draw. Like, I default to choosing draw in sealed deck. unless the format or my deck is fast, I'd rather have the extra card.
I'd say for me, when I play sealed deck, if it's a format where there's a lot of unconditional removal, that costs 4 or less, or if I have 3 or more pieces of that in sealed, then I'm almost always drawing. But in formats where it's mostly permanent based, I'm all about the play.
Yeah.
Like right now with all this bestow, I think.
Yeah. No, I don't think Theros is a draw first format.
All right, and we're off to a game 3 now.
Yeah, Eric's deck post board seems awesome for this matchup.
Yes.
I feel like it's edge Eric, even though Brad gets to play.
I think you're right. I think Brad is going to need.
I mean, Brad's deck is
here.
exactly the kind of thing Eric was expecting to play against when he went to the Red Splash. I mean, 3 Rakdos' return is huge. The Slaughter Games is very relevant. I mean, he's probably got the Sire of Insanity in his deck as well.
And Sire of Insanity also quite strong, especially it combos very nicely with the Underworld connections. Yeah, we both have to discard our hands, but when it matters, I get to pick up some off the top of my deck, find something if I need it.
Both players scry and leave the card on top. Brad's going to return the favor. Thoughtseize of his own. What does he see?
Looks like a Rakdos return, Erebos, God of the Dead, Duress, Lifebane Zombie, and Hero's Downfall. Alongside a, it looks like it could be a Rakdos Guildgate and a Swamp.
You could take Duress and deprive Eric of the ability to affect Brad's hand.
I kind of like just taking the return.
Yeah, the return is the most powerful card there. And that's where Brad decides to go. Scries and seems less clear about what he wants to do with this one. D-Sphere, Sphinx's Revelation, D-Sphere.
That's what it looks like. I imagine Revelation's getting taken.
Yeah, I would think. Oh, he's got a Slaughter Games in his hand. Maybe you don't take the Rev. Maybe you take a D-Sphere because you're planning to Slaughter Games Sphinx's Revelation.
Maybe you just leave him with 2 D-Spheres and then you don't play any permanents, and then on turn 4 you just...
Slaughter Games hits 2 spells from hand. Slaughter Games Sphinx's Revelation is so powerful, though. I like Eric's line better.
Yeah, you can. I agree with you. I was just saying the other line is definitely a good line. It's not.
I just think Dark Betrayal came off the top again. And Brad drew something. Elspeth, maybe?
Oh, it looks like it's just a Plains there.
The Plains has been there for a while. Eric, Thoughtseize. Does he not have the 4th land for the Slaughter Games?
So he missed that 4th land drop.
Yeah, so he just went ahead and Thoughtseize the Sphinx's Revelation. Saw a hand of, is that land Detention Sphere? I just imagine this whole Elspeth thing.
Yeah, I think he's had the same cards for a while.
Mutavault for Eric, so he does now have 4 land. I guess if he'd waited another turn, hoping to draw a land for this, Brad would be responding with Rev for 2. I think that's why Eric went ahead with that Thoughtseize. It effectively took away 2 cards.
All right, so now he's got to decide whether or not he wants to name Detention Sphere or Revelation. I mean, it looks like he named Revelation.
Yeah, he did.
And that's pretty nice for Brad. I mean...
No, it's not. What are you talking about?
Well, him naming the Revelation there,
he's
as
up
opposed to having to...
Yes, Eric missing his land drop was good for Brad because it meant that Eric is essentially playing this game down 2 life in a Thoughtseize from where he otherwise would have been.
Yeah, so it's better than it would have been. I mean, from the way it looked when he got Thoughtseize on turn 1, how it looked like the game was going to go, it turned out better than we thought it would have for Brad.
Fair enough. Still, losing his Sphinx's Revelations Makes this game pretty hard to play from here.
Yeah, I mean, he needs to get really aggressive with Planeswalkers from here on out if he wants to have a chance.
Right.
That's easier said than done, especially when you don't have any action cards in your hand. You can draw Jace off the top and do some serious work, though.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a Dissolve and a Detention Sphere. He can kind of deal with Eric's next 2 threats. But I feel like in a top deck war... Oh, wow, Jace off the top.
Brad's good at top deck wars.
Yes, no longer a top deck war.
All right.
Takes 2 land.
And I can get behind taking 2 land there. Gets the Scry. Jason out 2 counters. Dead to that Mutavault.
Yeah.
Still, it drew 2 cards. Required Eric to tap 2 mana on his turn. Not bad. Let's see. Looking like Eric does have some action here in hand.
Erebos.
Ooh, and that's a very good one. Imagine that's going to... If that doesn't draw a counter spell, yeah, it does.
Dissolve.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to draw him an extra card to the turn it comes in.
Right.
And that's exactly how we watched Brad lose that last game, was that he had a Detention Sphere of the Underworld connections that had already drawn his opponent cards. And
Mutavault for Brad.
definitely relevant, can block the opposing Mutavault.
Right.
He has mana advantage, so be pretty happy to do that.
Well, here's Underworld connections. We and Eric know that Brad's holding a Detention Sphere, but again, Eric will be up a card on this trade. Brad has to deal with the connections. Eric trying to grind through all of Brad's answers until something sticks.
And this post-board matchups just seems so good.
Elspeth off the top for Brad Nelson.
3 soldiers.
But Hero's Downfall. Does leave 3 soldiers behind. Mutavault can block. I mean, Brad is basically out of gas now. What does Eric have left?
That's what we're about to find
also
out.
out of gas, so we're back to a top deck war. Yeah, Brad attacking here makes sense. Oh, jeez, another removal spell. It was like if Eric trades Mutavault, then the coast is clear for the 3 tokens. So.
Yeah, and the top deck war ensues. It looks like Eric drew first. Wow. Oh, that's a pretty good one. And I believe Brad's last draw step was actually Dissolve.
Really?
Yeah. He told you he's very good at top deck wars.
Evidently. Well, Eric's got a Thoughtseize. It's pretty good versus any potential Dissolve, yeah.
Does he have another downfall? Wow. He does. Wow.
Still the tokens. But yeah, top decking war, pretty close to a stalemate here. Yeah, the Mutavault is not going to be blocking fast enough, right? He takes 5, then 4.
Yep.
Does he get to 17? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1? It's not 17, it's 15.
Yeah, it's 17 if Eric draws like a Thoughtseize even at any
Eric's
point.
going to go ahead and fire off the Devour Flesh here. That changes the math. Now he's only going to take 4, 3, 2, 1. He'll take 10 this way. Lifebane Zombie sees Dissolve and Dark Betrayal. Jeez, Brad Nelson.
Yeah, those are some good ones.
I mean, they've had a lot of draw phases in this top deck war, but I don't think Eric has any cards left, does he? No, Eric's out of gas. And Brad's still sitting on 2 answers.
Looks like Brad just drew a copy of Revoke Existence, maybe?
Yeah, Eric's one Mutavault is able to hold off those Elspeth tokens. So we're basically stalemated, but we know Brad has at least one Dissolve in his hand. Second Mutavault.
Ooh, that's very relevant.
Yes. I mean, Eric seems like he knows about the Dissolve, so he's going to basically wait to top deck a Duress or a Thoughtseize so that he can, and a Threat. That way he can lead with the discard spell, try to clear a path for whatever threat he does draw. And here's Duress. Brad's going to cast the Dissolve that. It was probably going to lose it anyway, and this way Eric doesn't get to know what else is in his hand.
And he gets
Plus,
to
this way
scry.
Brad gets to scry.
And he left it on top.
Oof. Eric ready to apply pressure with Mutavault. Yeah, you totally block.
Yeah, you just block it with
tokens
everything.
from Mutavault, sure. Oh, that's why Eric's willing to make that trade. And Syncopate was in Brad's hand.
Yep.
Just keeps top decking gas.
And here he's got more gas on the top. There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he kept it there.
Crazy game.
Yeah, absolutely
Top deck
awesome
wars don't
game.
normally last this long. They're just canceling each other out. Wow, 3 spells. Takes the Dissolve.
Yeah, I thought he's pretty dead at this point.
Fair.
See, and this is a game where Brad can go up with that Jace and keep it around because.
Yes.
Oh,
But
never
he
mind.
doesn't want to. Yeah, those lands are pretty irrelevant.
Yeah, he's going to
Actually
take them anyway,
surprised
though,
Brad took
because
the two.
he's
One of
got
them
the
was
scry.
land. I guess
Yeah, the
was
scry
not
is worth
irrelevant.
more than the revoke at this point, I think.
Yeah, replacement Jace. That's why he was willing to go down aggressively.
Makes sense. And Brad's drawing a lot of cards here.
Yep. It does feel like a game where multiple slaughter games could have been relevant. Like if Eric had been able to draw more of those uncountable slaughter games, could be stripping the victory conditions out of Brad's deck in theory. Stripping the good top decks out.
It's looking like so Brad takes 2, but gets some valuable information there.
Again, Jace goes away. Just wants the cards.
Yeah, and another Jace coming down now for Brad, I imagine.
Yep.
Yeah, gonna go hunting.
Yeah,
he
this is no
finds-
longer a top deck war.
This is not a top deck war.
Esper Control doing what Esper Control does. It took a long time for Brad to kind of maneuver things here, given that he doesn't have any Sphinx's Revelations in his deck, but he has just started incrementally pulling ahead and pulling ahead. Eric could not stick an Erebos or an Underworld Connections. Brad just has more card drawing in his deck. I mean, there was definitely a window there where I thought Eric had the edge, and Brad just, the top of his deck loved him.
Yes, it did. Oh, he's going downstairs with that Jace. That surprises me.
There's the
Well,
Aetherling.
he finds an Aetherling, so
Yeah, that's what he's been.
Eric tried to throw
Yes.
it. He was very close to doing that.
Yeah,
All right, Aetherling comes down.
that should do it.
Lots of blue mana there to protect it.
You do not want to mess with Brad Nelson at a standard Grand Prix.
You do not.
This is his turf. 4 out of 5 top 8s. The terrible 5th event was a top 16
Yeah.
where he lost a pair of win-and-ins. And now he is, he's got at least a win-and-in.
Hopefully it's not a repeat of that one.
Yeah, lose a pair of win-and-ins. Right, he's got 2 win-and-ins now. Brad needs to win one of the next 2.
He always has at least 2.
Jeez. Does seem like he drew a little better than Eric in a matchup that Eric should be advantaged in, but
Yeah.
Brad also played it extremely well.
He did. I think both of them set themselves up very well here.
Aetherling hits for 8. Eric activated Mutavault so that Brad would have to make it unblockable. Aetherling blanks.
Yeah, and at this point it's
Wow. All right, Eric Froelich not out of it. 11-2 basically means he needs to win the next 2.
yeah.
I mean, he'll win 1 and look at the standings optimistically, but he probably needs to win each of the next 2 to top 8.
That's something he's definitely capable of. Obviously,
Oh, yeah.
you know, getting to 11-1
His deck looks
is
good, too.
his deck looks very
I mean,
good.
it feels like he kind of, sort of, maybe, probably should have won this match. It's funny. This Thoughtseize is for extra information in case they meet in the top 8. That's all this Thoughtseize does. Show me some more of your deck, please. Brad just lets him strip the Dissolve away rather than tap any mana that he might need for Aetherling.
And he gives him the information that he is playing Dissolve.
And lands.
All right, so and that's it.
Aetherling's unblockable. Aetherling is lethal. Puts Mutavault on top of the deck. Oh, okay. Hero's Downfall is going to force Brad to blink the Aetherling, which means he doesn't win the game this turn.
Yeah, but now the top card of Eric's deck is
It's a Mutavault.
Mutavault.
Right? What did the Azorius Charm do? Didn't it blink the Mutavault? Did he draw a card?
Did he life gain his team?
Oh.
He might have just life gained his team.
Got it.
Would have been better to put the Mutavault on top.
Yeah,
But at this point,
Whatever.
he's got it locked up.
Eric extends the hand. All right.
Yeah.
Brad Nelson. 12-1.
It's
Eric
12-1 now.
Has the slouch of a man who